Hey guys, it's Marek again, and today I brought down all of my alien figures from the NECA Aliens line, or I should say Xenomorphs. So as you can see here, I don't really have much in terms of like your standard Xenomorph warrior slash drone. It's mainly because I'm sort of a variant collector when it comes to sort of these things, and everybody wants or has a Xenomorph warrior or drone because those are like the most common types. But I just kind of like the more unique things, and I wanted to get some stuff that not a lot of people know about. Though judging by a lot of people probably do know about these at least now. Or in terms of, they played with like the ones that are based off of the Kenner models back when they were kids as well. So yeah, a lot of these are actually based off of former toys by Kenner, and they had their own little aliens line and everything like that. And that's pretty cool. And you know what? I always kind of contemplated on buying some of those, which is kind of ironic in how I got started with collecting these. So I'm going to go in order of how I acquired them, because this is sort of the way it kind of goes here. Because I didn't know about the full lines, and I honestly don't try to keep up with action figure news because, with the release, how much should I have? And the release of figures daily, bi-monthly, it kind of gets confusing. And I tried to keep up with something, and they just kept changing the release date, and it was not fun to try to keep up with that sort of news. But anyway, let's move on to my first acquired figure here. This guy. Oh. This is the Mantis Alien. Yes, very much looks like, whoa. And yeah, unfortunately, let me get one flaw out of the way first. He is not stable whatsoever. That's only because of his long freaking legs. So he can be very loose or very stiff. That's all I can say. His joint, but that's just NECA in general. Their joints are really nice either way. Just look at this design. Look at these claws. I got his claws right now are kind of stuck in these, but these have little ball joints that I can't move. I probably got to run them under hot water or something like that to get them to release easily. But yeah, he's very, very, very loose in some joints, especially in the legs. Even so, he's really cool, and obviously mine isn't representative of others. But yeah, look at that. He's got freaking instead of a tail, he's got a mantis thorax with a fucking wasp hook for some reason. His claws very his arms are very mantis-like in terms of design. He's got claws that are more like a crab than a mantis, but they still have the little bits of slashing blades that mantises do. And this thing is just awesome. Just look at, I love the color. Green's one of my two favorite colors. And it's just see-through plastic, which adds on to the coolness with a nice little silver brush over it. A little inner jaw there that can barely pop out like all Xenomorphs do. Got good head articulation with that. Yeah, just look at that dome too. Nice and rigid. Really, great job on this. It's just that, like I said, oh my god, look at his leg go. But just these legs are really lanky. And this is probably just my own. But yeah, just be careful with these guys because they can break. And NECA figures, depending on when they were released, can be very expensive and hard to replace. So just be very careful with him. So I'm going to move him, try to move him back to where he was. And I'll move on to the next aliens that I acquired. So in order of how I opened them, I got these guys next. These guys, for the first time, have gotten an action figure based off of them. These were never made in the Kenner line. These were based off of the AVP arcade game, which is really cool. It's one of my favorite arcade games I've ever played. Just taking a design like those and then turning them into a little more realistic style, great idea for an action figure. And this is one of them, and I kind of got him into the pose from the game. So this guy, I believe this is called a runner or something. No, this ain't a runner. This is some weird variant. I forgot his name, but yeah, it does use runner parts though. I believe this was a nymph or something like that, some weird type of name. But he uses some runner parts as well as the feet from the gorilla alien. We'll get into that shortly. So got decent articulation. These ones I feel like you can pose them a lot more, and this guy's nice and solid too. I love that. Just get him in this nice pose. Great. Especially with the tail, the bendy wires in the tail and everything like that is perfect. Even the tail is nice, though it doesn't have a blade. This is more of like a drone tail than like a regular tail, but the drones have a slightly more slightly more intricate blade at the end. This is just like a regular. But these Xenomorph variants are a little bit different. He's even got like stubby little air breathing tubes on his back. Really nice design choices, I can tell you that much. Great interpretation of this creature from the game. And I love how you can get him into the exact same pose of the game. I should say, too, that the Manta Xenomorph, because I just saw it in here, came with this guy. This is obviously a chest burster, but it's got like the little blade hands of the Manta Xenomorph. You can kind of see there. Come on, focus. Focus. Probably not because I'm using like a multi-shot mode, but yeah, you can clearly see the little hands that it has. I don't know if that's all of these, but even if it isn't, it's really nice that they were able to add those on just for this specific thing. And I'd honestly like to see more of these. But yeah, the Kenner, like, it's not complete without this dude. So this is actually called a Chrysalis Alien, and he's actually got a fun little, I guess, play feature if you want to display him in such a way, because this is actually from the game. This guy is kind of a mini boss, I guess. A little less like an actual boss fight and more just like, he's a stronger enemy encounter. He's kind of got like the head crest of a Praetorian Xenomorph, which they really have to make a figure up. I'd love to own a Praetorian. Just like one of those big guys. But yeah, I'm going to put the camera down and take 1 second to do the air quotes play feature, because NECA really doesn't do play feature. So please hold on 1 second. It shouldn't be too long. The worst part is... Okay, there we go. Get it. Boom! There we go. So, this is the horror that meets you underneath his face mask. So yeah, Xenomorphs have human-shaped skulls underneath their, like, little domes, which is really cool. And the fact that they gave this thing the ability to put its head out like this, great concept. And I love that this ability is actually in the game, and he does his little attack. He's like this, it gets you. Pretty damn cool. So moving on once again, I'm going to keep his little head crest out because I really don't want to put the camera down again to push his head back in. Don't worry, it's an easy push back in. At first, it feels like it'll break it when you're pushing it out for the first time and pulling it back, but it's a nice little solid connection, so there's nothing really to worry about. So last but not least, this guy. I'm honestly a little disappointed about this one, but even so, great figure still. This is Razor Claws. He's a boss from the game. He's one of the few bosses in the game, actually. Great design translation to action figure. He's basically just like a slightly bigger warrior, though kind of shorter compared to his because of his legs and how he like has to stand. I kind of got him a little bow-legged. My original was able to stand a little taller, but this guy is like this guy was like a replacement. There's the original with his headless body over there. He fell off of the shelf and everything kind of snapped. But yeah, like, really, I love the tail blade. It's the same tail blade as that. I don't know if that's the exact same one from the regular Warriors, but even if it's not, it still works. It still works nice. And he also shares like a lot of the same features as the Chrysalis you can see here. Then again, that might be because they come from like the same sort of hive, and a lot of them are like genetically modified, which would also explain like the other sub-variants, such as that little guy down there, the nymph, I guess I'll call him for now. But yeah, biggest defining feature are his big-ass claws. Look at these things. You actually encounter a friend of Schaefer in the game who was cut down by this guy. And I think right afterwards the fight ensues. It's pretty damn cool, and it's a brutal attack. Really great design. The worst thing I could say is that his claws are very rubbery plastic. Oh, wait, no. I was mistaken. Oh, no, I forgot. Well, they do feel a little bit weird to move around, but, you kind of get used to it as you do. Two fingers on, like, one little joint, and this joint kind of stays the same. There's no joint here. And then the same thing. But, yeah, once again, this guy, all I have to warn you is that, like, joints can either be very loose or very hard to move. But that's just kind of like a staple of NECA figures. And he's got his little inner jaw there, too. Like every Xenomorph. And the coolest thing, I love how his dome is slightly see-through. That was a great touch. And once again, purple is another one of my favorite colors, but we're soon going to get to like some more of that in a moment here. And I should add too as well, another nice little touch, like I said, see-through dome up here. you could see it. You could sort of see like the bone structure that they did inside. So it's clearly obvious that these things are multi-layered in terms of how they designed them. And let me just pull out the broken razor claw head here. So I'm going to show off what the inside of the dome looks like, because I was kind of experimenting around with the broken one. Look at that. That is nice. And this is all glued on too. But yeah. Look at that blue. Nice metallic blue. They really did a number with these guys. I'm glad I bought them. They're actually worth, they're worth the penny that they're worth. So moving on, I got more of the ones based off the Kenner line. So now we got ourselves a snake alien, or a cobra alien. Now, this thing, oh my god, I love its design in terms of like what they did. So its body is literally the hood. It has the head of an alien, but nice big crest on the back. Like, look at that shit. Nice big head crest. It's all tail. It's all tail. And that freaking blade, really nice and big. But yeah, best defining feature, its little fangs and claws there are purple with a nice green finish. Purple and green, great combo. I love it. But now, here's the weirdest thing about this guy. So, he doesn't exactly have an inner jaw like every other Xenomorph. So, he's got like an outer jaw like that, which is huge fangs, as you can see here, like on the bottom, these silver fangs. A nice big upper portion here, which doesn't move. It's clearly not a jaw. Now, here's the thing though. Inside of the mouth, yeah, it's got an inner jaw, but this can act as this is a separate jaw underneath a third jaw here. So this bottom jaw is not the jaw. This is the jaw. This is the bottom jaw right here. And then right inside is the secondary mouth. It's hard to see, but you can kind of get it right there. So yeah, there's the tip of the secondary mouth. There's the bottom of the second, and it even has its own fangs. This thing has got 3 jaws. Jaw 1, jaw 2, jaw 3. This fucking design is outstanding. Plus, its top fang. Just look at these. It's attached to the inner jaw. And the original Kenner play features, this would shoot out and be like, chomp, 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 like that. Fucking great design. I love this thing to death. Can't be beat. Moving on to the next one I acquired. Doing the caveman SpongeBob pose, kind of chilling out in the back here. Here he is. So this guy is not too... Whoops. Oh, no. See what I mean? So yeah, another thing, be very careful. They do fall easy. That's why you gotta like support them with their tails. This guy doing the caveman SpongeBob pose is the... whatever, he can stay down. He'll be with his brother. Is the Scorpion Alien. So, this guy shares almost the exact same traits as a regular warrior Xenomorph. The exception being a different crest, which, once again, really nice crest. The breathing tubes in the back end in scorpion stingers. It's got a lot more spiky details. To emulate the claws, it has 2 long fingers on each hand. Almost similar in terms of the appearance and design to I want to say a runner, but not really. Like, these claws are different. These claws are obviously different. Same Xenomorph feet and legs, just different, like, more spikes and everything like that. Really nice design. And last but not least, the tail. A very thin tail with ends in a rubbery scorpion stinger. So, and it's kind of funny, they released the 2, I guess, venomous variants of a Xenomorph, immediately with each other, and I don't think there's anything different about the jaw. No, he's got the standard inner mouth. But yeah, really nice design. Also, I love the facial, crest here. So, this is nice and smooth, but it's still a little bit rigid right on the front here. It's hard to see, but it really does feel like an insect carapace, if you ever got to feel like a scorpion. All you gotta know is you gotta keep Indiana Jones away from this guy. And probably his son away from that guy. And now on to the only one that I own from the movies. So this is a runner Xenomorph. Now, this is specifically the one from the movie. This guy was called the Dragon in the script. And just like Big Chap, he's got a very much dome head. And this guy was birthed from a dog or an oxen. So you can kind of see the pieces that the runner has. It's clearly on the nymph too. The same hands. Different feet. Now, I'm going to talk about the feet in a second, but yet, and I believe this is the standard Xenomorph, but it shares the same characteristics as the Chrysalis and Razor Claws. And everything else is pretty much like your standard Xenomorph. I think these might be a little bit bigger, but I'm not sure. I think that's only to rest the head when it's in its running pose, but you can't exactly get this in the running pose. You can get this in. Also, yeah, the nymph also shares the exact same inner mouth style as that. It's got a nice and small one, probably to denote its size, because it's more of like a scouting unit than it is like a warrior or something like that, or a drone. But yeah, now let me talk about the feet for a second. Yeah, these are literally done to look like a dog's pads, with that the little bump on the bottom. I really like that a lot, because in the movie, the original cut, it was born from a dog rather than an ox. Though you could argue that it's related to an ox hoof or something like that in now. But in terms of action figure design, they don't work for standing, which is why I kind of got him like in this awkward pose. I got him standing before on both pads, but he quickly falls over, and it's really not good. I don't mind the design. I really like it, because I do love the runner variant, but this thing, in terms of toys, yeah, I think this thing needs a rework. And I don't know if they ever released like any other ones, but I know they released like a couple. There was one done in black, one done in blue, and then this guy. Because the blue one was from like the arcade game of 3, I want to say. So yeah, that's why they sort of did that one. But yeah, really nothing much else to say about the runner. I like it, but needs some work. Also, I really like the dome. The see-through dome, as per usual, is really nice, because you can see the little exoskeleton underneath. I love that so much. Now, on to Chonkster here. This big boy, oh my, I love him so. The Rhino Alien. This dude is fucking big. He's the biggest of Chunguses. Just look at this dude. Doesn't have a tail. He's got a little stumpy rhino tail. Big fucking bulky legs that end in like large feet that are just good for walking on all fours and everything like that. Big clumping hands, which are very similar, I'd say, to the Mantis Xenomorph. Not the Scorpion Xenomorph. I'm sorry. I get those two mixed up a lot because they're both based off of insects. Not even one huge ass horn. 3 huge ass horns on his head. Obviously, this one is a little small, but it would probably be bigger than when you see it next to a person or something like that. It's still deadly either way. And this fucker up here, but you probably won't be able to use that at all. Now, here's the thing, though. Oh, yeah, look at these breathing tubes, too. Got, like, 2 of them, but then the rest are all spiky. So this guy's got a few cooler features. So his mouth opens up only a little bit, which is kind of a detriment because his inner mouth looks really awesome and you can barely see it. I tried everything in my power to get that inner mouth out, but I couldn't get it out. Even so, this guy is, like, worth it. Just look at him. Amazing piece. I love the oranges and the blacks. This is great. So I want to move on, though, to his, like, sort of feature. His dome is removable. Just look at this design. This nice see-through, almost orangey see-through with a little bit of dry shading on the top. Really nice piece. But it holds the ridges. Just look at that. Deep orange. Like, if you really want to use these as, like, a sort of play feature for, like, a stop-motion thing, or if you want to set up, like, a diorama, like, battle damage, you just, like, they blew off this, like, skull cap or whatever. It works so well. And now the other coolest feature, too. You won't be able to see this in camera, but you got to take my word for it. So, his midsection here, like his stomach, the abdominal area, and everything like that, and his back, are made of... There's a thin layer. There's a whole layer of plastic, right? But over it is a thin layer of rubbery plastic, which has been dried shaded with the black on the front and left orange on the back to give it, like, this sort of leathery feel, like I guess how a rhino would feel if you, like, touched one. Which is really nice, but it worries me a little bit because I'm afraid the paint down here will chip. eventually, because a lot of that stuff sort of does. And if this thing gets too hot, that rubber could harden and then start cracking off. But even so, still nice and worth it. And last but not least, just look at this. I'm sorry. I just want to give one more look at this guy. Like, my God, look at the... He's awesome. He's huge. And it gives me, like, a bunch of, like, you know... It gives me, like, a bunch of hope for, like, what the later, like, NECA Xenomorphs from the Kenner line would definitely look like in the future. So now the last dude, which is ironically the first to be released in the line, I believe, of, like, these Kenner figures. Oh, no, he's knocking everybody over, because this has an awesome tail. This is the Gorilla Xenomorph. Which kind of makes me go into question, why is it like a gorilla xenomorph? Because this thing's got like a tail and it kind of reminds me a little more of a chimpanzee than a gorilla. But even so, this thing is fucking sweet. The blue color, nice and striking. The head dome, once again, reminds me a bit of a Praetorian xenomorph. Once again, we really need a Praetorian NECA. Please give one to us. He doesn't have really much any sort of gimmicks in terms of, like, I guess, play. If you really want to play with these things, these are like display features. But once again, I guess making dioramas would be considered like a, air quotes, play feature. But that's nothing to worry about, though, because he's got like a really nice design philosophy behind him. So before we move on to anything, just look at his arms. Fucking long. These look like a chimpanzee's arms more than a gorilla's arms. Big ass hands. These are a different design than others, and I really wonder what they're going to reuse them for. The tail is just like the mantis alien, is very thin, but it ends in a grasping hand. Once again, denoting it's like, you know, I guess primate nature. It wants to grab onto stuff and use it like that. And then next, moving on to the skull, like the face here. While it has a standard inner jaw, the freaking skull is more monkey shaped than it is human shaped. Look at that shit. That's bone. That's a solid bone. And to back up my argument on this, wait till you see this little play feature. And I should say, too, before we move on to that, I love the designs of those little fins on the arm. Those, I guess, are like extra breathing tubes. Because it's hypothesized, though, that the Xenomorphs breathe through like these types of tubes. He's only got 2 on the back, but it's got like a few of these on the arm. Once again, great job on them. Oh, no, he's falling over. Don't worry. If anything falls over, I'll fix it at post. I'll fix it like post the video. He also came with that blue facehugger, and I am stalling to show off the main event, which is the face, because this guy also features a removable dome, which has a clear one. But yeah, I'm just gonna slowly go down. So yeah, up here at the top of the crest, going down, going down, going down. Good Lord, what have I discovered? This thing, look at the tubes. They're going into its eyes. When I first found out you could remove the faceplate on this thing, I was like, what? And then I pulled it off and I saw the tubes running and I'm like, oh my God, just look at this thing. This thing really looks like a freaking like monkey skull. With like, you know, some exception applied because it's got that little crest on the top there, but oh my God, this is why you don't remove the domes off of Xenomorphs. Jeez, man. Not all Xenomorphs share this philosophy, but someone at NECA was like grinning when they came up with the concept of these tubes in the eyes. That's insane. I love this so much. But this could also be like a sort of, I guess, semi-disproof of like like those being the actual eyes, other than just like, oh, you know, whatever. It might be a sensory organ, but yeah, look at that. It's got the little like little nose hole there because they don't have a nose, but very like prehensile parts. It's just like, oh my God, they really outdid themselves with this guy. And you know what? I'm glad that they did, because these figures are really, really nice. I should say though, this does give me hope once again for like newer NECA figures based off the Kenner line, only because we got such really good figures as these, and you know, I want to see like sort of modern interpretations of someone like the older one, like the classic ones, like the Bull Alien. What's that going to look like in this NECA style? What's the Crab Alien going to look like in the NECA style? What's the aquatic one? What's the what the hell is that one called? I said crab, but like what's, you know, what are all these aliens? The Swarm Alien. what are they all going to look like in this modern NECA style, which gives them all like these really cool like design choices and everything like that, especially with like the monkey skull here, the monkey jaw and skull style. It's insane what they did with these, and I'm really excited for the future of these figures. Plus, the arcade figures also give me hope that we're going to get some more Aliens arcade figures, specifically from the Aliens arcade game. So that includes like some of the more weirder, outlandish designs, like the floating heads and shit like that, which would be kind of cool, but weird at the same time. And you know what? I'm all for that shit. That's going to be awesome. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for joining me with this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll catch you all later tonight, as of this recording, for some Star Control Origins. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for joining me once again. Remember, as always, be yourselves, and remember, have a good day. Marek, out. See you guys.